Welcome back to the Driven Leadership Podcast, everybody. My name is Connor. I'm joined here by Eric and Mary. We're doing reintroductions all around because maybe we shouldn't draw attention to it. It's been a while since we've been in the studio, and I'm excited to be back. How's everybody feeling? How's Thanksgiving? How's things around the house? Everybody's feeling good in the holiday spirit?
Holiday spirit has definitely threw up in my house.
Yeah. She picks a weekend and then I leave because I help her carry the stuff down, and then I leave because I'm just in the way. And then
that actually sounds like best case scenario. Like you just have a Christmas elf, and that Christmas elf is Mary, who you're transported into the holidays.
Yeah. I love it.
Because I'll sit around and go, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? And then by the end of it, it looks amazing. But I can't see.
Nothing more awesome.
I can't see the vision.
Getting up in the morning.
To it. Dang, you beat me to it. I was going to do the transition.
No. But you got to get up and just be calm in the morning with the Christmas lights and the fireplace where no one's around. Then you can create the vision.
Just so everyone is clear, the vision looks the same every year. I mean, it's the same. You're right. You moved the couch this year. I apologize. You moved the couch.
You're just really showing your lack of vision here in the whole Christmas arena. But as everybody knows, if you're listening to this when it comes out, we're in December with the end of 2025 somehow, and so we are talking about vision again, which is really exciting. Last year we actually did a whole webinar. It was one of our first, if I recall correctly.
It was our first.
Yeah, about doing a whole vision board, which is a routine or a tradition that you have every year with your kids, Mary. And this year we're doing another one, but we also just want to talk about it on this format of vision for your personal life, for your business life. What does it look like? What is like? We'll actually define what vision looks like for both areas, and then really the question that everybody asks is, how do I accomplish this vision? How does it just not die by Martin Luther King Jr. Day? And it actually is a consistent thread that you see throughout the whole year. So that's on the docket today. I'm pretty excited about. We have some things that we're going to chat through. So where should we start? I know we have the two big arenas here of vision in your personal life, vision in your business. Where are we going first, you think?
I actually want to jump in here. I beat you to it this time, McGrath. Every time that we have done, because Eric and I have done vision boards together, vision building for the year. And in all the years we've done this, we've always stopped before we start the vision and we celebrate the year. Because I believe you have to know what you did before we can ever get to where we want to go again.
Yeah.
And I think
you just feel like you're on a hamster wheel if you just always looking.
Well, I think a lot of times that's what happens with people is like we have to do a vision, we have to strategize, but we forget what's working. And when we can remember and remind ourselves with, well, what were all the amazing things in the buckets of professional, personal, health, spiritual, family, like whatever those things are. And we stop and pause. And whenever I do this with even myself or I teach other people, we have to get our calendars out. Because human nature, we move so fast that we forget. We forget what we did. We forget the little things. We forget the celebrations. And actually where this even came from, when I was doing my journaling, I journaled, and every year there was a theme. This is actually before I met Eric. And I realized every year I'd write the same thing, but I never looked back to what I accomplished or where I got stuck. So I truly believe before we can truly set a new year, we stop, we celebrate, we pause, we reflect so we know what to continue to work on, and then look at where the gaps were and now settle into, okay, so where do we want to go? What does this year look like?
I actually fought this when she first brought it up, shockingly, because I was like, okay, cool. Because I was like, hey, that was a year. That was cool, good, bad. And I have a tendency to be critical and focus on what didn't work versus what did work. And so I capitulated. I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And like most things that happen this way between Mary and Aunt Mary's very focused on the mindset. So what happens when you focus on what went well for the year is it really sets you up in an incredible mindset for what will you do coming into this year. It actually changes the whole kind of focus and energy of it. And surprisingly, it was a lot of fun. It really worked. And I hate to give her too much credit, but it was a great exercise in going backwards. And,
I want to keep a scoreboard going of the stories that you've told that always start with I didn't want to do it, but Mary convinced me to do it. Then I did it, and it was life-changing. It was the best thing I've ever done.
It's anything that goes into what the feels. Like, I just grew up where it wasn't about, you don't get into, oh, let's be in gratitude. I didn't grow up in that. It's like, let's execute. Let's make it happen. We're going to win, And so, yes, execute, win has a place, but where I always have to. And the reason I keep doing these things is because they work, but yes, initially I will push back. And I say all that here because I know there's people like me, and I know there's people that don't want to do, or they're like, it's like a woo-woo thing. We're not, inhaling crystals or anything. It's just, it is, you guys joke. You guys know I know somebody who does that, but it's like, so it's, but it really has an impact. It's positive.
Well, and it actually opens up the creative side of the brain. So you get into celebrations and success, then your brain wants more of it. And whatever we focus on, we grow. And so if we're really looking at the focus of what did we do well, and we get that endorphin, the dopamine hit going, all right, this was amazing. How do we create more of that? And even in times of really, really crappy years, because there's times where we've had really shitty years. And I know that there's, people go through divorce, bankruptcies, health things, and it's really hard to grab a hold of something positive, and they just want to get rid of the year. And I hear this so many times. Thank God 2025 is done. I just want to move on. But there's still good things. If we stop and pause, there's still things that we can pull from before we ever move forward.
That's awesome. Well, I imagine the process of looking ahead to 2026 and setting a vision would be so much more depressing if you're coming at it of just like, oh, I didn't do anything this year, or not even pausing to think about and appreciate what you did, and just be like, okay, what's next? Let me just keep my head down and keep moving toward the next thing. Because you're right, Eric. I think there's a lot of people who, scoff, roll their eyes, whatever you want to say, just don't put any value on vision, whether it's a vision board or setting goals for the new year. So I think that's a huge piece that's not really talked about a lot of. That should be the first thing. Just look back and say what you actually did, and that sets you up for success as look to the next year.
But then I think it gets the whole purpose of vision. So to me, when we're talking about vision, we're talking about focus is what we're really talking about. So it's like when we're talking about, if it's a 10-year vision, that's kind of a spotlight way out in the distance, or a searchlight or whatever. Lighthouse. That's it. Lighthouse is the word. Lighthouse way out in the distance, and we see it there, and it's this beacon we're shooting for, and so we know it's there and we're working towards it. But there's a long road. We're talking 1 year. That's really an execution plan. When you talk about the vision, we're getting into clear goals. We're getting into how do I do it. We're getting into how is it measured. Especially within business, but like, what are we looking to actually produce when we walk out of, and in this case, walk out of 26? Where do we want to be? What have we accomplished, and what has to go into creating it? I think, so vision is about, okay, I'm going here. And it also, on the flip, is I'm not going here. So vision is where am I going? But by selecting this is where I'm going, I'm also saying I'm not going to these other places. And I do think there's also a large, at least when we go into companies, companies seem to do that pretty well, generally speaking. Smaller companies, more family owned, may have more trouble sometimes, but you get into bigger companies, they're dead on. We're going here, we're creating this, they're measuring it, they're marketing it. The personal, though, it seems like it's more of a, an intent, a hope, a dream.
I think
a
hope or dream is definitely the more like, and nobody really says it like that. Nobody comes out and be like, I hope that I go to the gym in January. They're going to be like, oh, well, I'm going, but it's always said. And there's always the undertow of like, yeah, but we'll see, or even people call it out of like, yeah, well, we'll see where you're at in February, and that's the thing that people talk about the most is like how many resolutions are dropped by
Yeah.
mid-January.
The end of January. Yeah, mid-January,
Yeah.
over 50%.
Yeah.
Is it
So-
50% drop in January?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can at least
Yeah.
make it a February.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start there when we're talking about
Yeah.
vision building, and I think this is more personal. But how do you overcome that piece of it? Overcome that either a stigma or your personal belief, or people in your own life saying, "Oh yeah, cool, go write your whatever, and we'll see how you're going in February."
So I believe first that people need to have a starting point, and they have to be able to have hope. Because if we don't have hope, we can't have a vision. If we're in survival mode, people are just like, they don't even know where they're going. They're just waking up every day, figuring out how they're going to pay their bills or how they're going to get to, have their job or make payroll or whatever that is. So vision creates clarity. And I love, it's actually a scripture, but it's a saying. And I saw it when Kellen, we call him Boss Baby, was wrestling. And it was in this wrestling booth, and it said, know the vision, write it down so that you can run with it. And that's a saying that has just stuck with me over the years, that if we don't know a vision, if we don't have hope and we don't have a vision, then where the heck are we going to go with it? But when we're so clear on who we are, what we want, understanding what's working, where our gaps are, and we take a focus. And I love, the one thing. So I have there's a exercise I do with people. There's like 10 different categories where it's different mappings of where are we right now on a scale of 1 to 10. How satisfied are you in your personal life? How satisfied are you in your health, your career, your finances, spiritual, all these different things. And so looking at that, then what's the biggest area that that when you work on this, all these other areas will start to move from it. So it gives people a starting point. And I always start with somewhere, because if people don't know how to create a vision, how to create clarity, then they're going to be the one on the hamster wheel that says, well, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And they eat that piece of cake or they have that glass of wine. And then by Martin Luther King's day, they're like, I just failed here. So out of sight, out of mind. But when you know it and it's aligned with who you are, why you're doing it, then and that's where you write it, you put it up, you see it. There's accountability. There's something that you are so committed that it becomes a non-negotiable. That's where people create the stickiness. And is it easy? No, it's not. It's hard. It's easy when you first start. It's like, let's go, because you got all this momentum and this, you got the vision. It's clear,
Yeah.
But things happen and it gets muddy.
Well, you're talking like something like working out, where it's that's one piece of this. But let's say I'm going to make this much money this year, or I'm going to go, things that start to get out of our control. We control to a degree the input that goes into it. What a lot of times people will do is they'll set goals that they don't really. They're more like we were saying, they're more wish lists. It's more like, I'm going to meet a wonderful person this year. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, that's a focus and you're focusing on doing it. But these are the outcomes we're working on towards. Those are the goals. But really what we want to get into when we're starting to do this are the controllables. So what am I doing to move that? Well, I'm going to meet somebody this year. If that's the goal, okay, you're single, you want to meet someone. Well, that might mean you're not in your house every weekend for the rest of your life. That's the behavioral side of changing it. You can't control, did you meet that one person or the right person, but you can control, are you putting yourself in position to be able to and create the opportunity?
Well, and the right person, you get clarity.
Yeah.
It is what kind of person, what behaviors, what values, who are they? I did this. I actually called Eric into my life, not realizing it. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually asked for you, but I made an entire list of who I wanted for someone in my life. Shut it, McGrath. But like what are the non-negotiables? I call them the green light, yellow light, red light. The green are absolute must. They're the values that I stand on. This is the type of person, this is what I need them to be. And it's being a good human. But what does that mean? But I literally laid it out. And then the red light was the non-negotiables. On the other side, I will not tolerate this type of behavior. So I got really, really clear on who I wanted in my life as a person. And then Eric popped up, but I've done that with everything.
Popped up.
He popped up. So, I mean, there's so much more to vision. And I really believe whether it's business or personal, because these go hand in hand.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, it sounds like all the same process.
Right? You have to take time. It's not a one and done where you sit down and you're like, oh, I'm going to map it out in 10 minutes. It doesn't work that way. You have to give yourself space to think, to really put yourself, what do you really want? Why does this matter? What does it look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a huge piece that is missed for a lot of people, even whether it's a partner, or I even heard people like, oh, I'm going to find my dream house this year. Or like you said, Eric, like I'm going to make a certain amount of money or do this, this, and this. Like if there's no specifics to it, like, of course it's going to, or I guess I don't want to say of course, but the propensity for it to die just is increased so much because there's nothing tangible to actually hold on to and like actually be able to say I'm moving in this direction and these are the milestones, and by March I'll be here instead of by December. I'm in January, but by December I'll be in a new house. It's like that's just, it's so large and looming. It's like and that's in my personal life, like that's where it's all it's gotten to be like unattainable. Like I want to sit down and do vision boarding and building, but I don't want to, it's like, I don't want to put that stress and pressure on me to accomplish these huge things. But if they're broken up and taken apart and laid out like that, it just becomes way more manageable.
We can start calling them rocks.
Yes. For those that don't know, she's connecting EOS into so it's really, are you hoping to make this vision happen, or is it happening? Is it hope or is it happening? And if it's happening, that means that there is a plan that helps outline it. That doesn't mean you can't hope and wish and dream. Those are great.
Yeah.
Have those.
Yeah.
But we're talking about vision for this year. We want to get what is happening. What are you creating? And if you don't know all the answers as to how it's happening, let's say it's increased money and you're going, man, I don't know how I'm doing it, but this is the hope. Okay. So to move it from hope into happening, I got to have a road plan to say, here's how I'm executing. That doesn't mean it can't potentially happen by having the hope. You could win the lottery. It could happen.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I was destined to win the lottery, I would be buying lottery tickets. That would be the happening part. There's a lot of people who go, man, I really want $1 million and there's no way I'm going to make it in my current job. So therefore I hope, and we don't have a plan.
Yeah. So it's knowing it and having the vision. So being so clear on what that is, why it's important. And now for what we do is we work it backwards, because a lot of times people get so overwhelmed with how the heck are we going to ever create and make this happen, but you chunk it down. So the vision, now work it backwards. So what actions am I doing today that I can control that will move the needle to get to this vision? If you're working out, and I saw a picture yesterday, and it showed one guy showed an arm lifting a weight for today, and then it showed it, like 3 months, and then it showed it in a year, and it was a complete different look. And we get so caught up in, well, we got to do this. How are we going to do this? And we spiral. But it's the little things. It's the 1%. So if you want to make money and this is your goal, and so what are you going to do? What actions can you take day in and day out in your control that when you know it's consistent, it will create the outcome? So if I need to make $10,000 this month, what actions are you doing today that will create the yeses?
Well, and
It's huge.
flipping it over to, so just simplifying this down, because we're talking, I feel like it's kind of a little all over the place. So and actually that's the word that is in my head. Make this simple. Okay. So you can, when Mary does a dream board, okay, this is for personal. She's putting down all these, it's a dream. It's dreams she's putting down. They have common themes, things like that. But if she puts 40 things on her dream board, your brain can't latch on to them. You can't go after all of them. It's good to have those dreams, put them down, be excited about them, have the house and the car and all the things that you want on there. But then let's get very specific as to what are we going to make happen. And so what are the things in there that we feel like we have some control over, we can move towards, we have kind of a vision for how we're going to get there, a strategy to start moving toward. Personally, I recommend less than 3 big ones. 3 or less, because there's actually studies out there. If you start going above 3, we start hitting less in a lot of cases. And I think it's somewhere around above 7, you hit none because you're so scattered. It's real hard to hit them. So when you're 3 or less, it gets a lot easier. So get it simple and go, I'm going to make these happen. And then we're building a strategy behind. And why this also connects to business. So we'll go into businesses, man. And I'm like, so what are the goals? And they go, oh, that's this 40-page spreadsheet, of things that we're going after. And it's like, no, we need,
and it's like
simple.
5 years in the future, or
EOS gives you the option each quarter to dive into 7, which is still a lot. And they even say it's a lot when you're in the meetings. They're like, man, you really don't want to be at 7. You want to be 3 or less if you can do it, and just have clarity and go after it. So yes. So the process is look backwards, be in gratitude, be excited about what went on, look forward, start at the end in mind. What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to walk out of here with? What would be success at the end of this year and important to me? Then dream, not just this is where I'm going to be at, but what are all the other things that would be nice to have? And that's a dream board. If you want to do that, that's in the boardroom that's throwing up. What else could we do? And just kind of IDSing or digging into identify, discuss, and solve what would really work, brainstorm around it, get a bunch of ideas, trim it down, and then get focused and go, what are the things we will accomplish this year that'll set us up? And if you're in business, you're doing like 5-year plans and 10-year plans that are connected into it. And you start building a strategy behind these key components. So this applies to everything. So let's say I want to get in shape. Okay. And we want to go there. Well, what does shape look like? Get specific, define it. What does it look like at the end of the year? Great. Now I'm going to build a strategy for doing that. What do I need to eat? And what do I need to do exercise wise to make that happen? Now we got an actual plan. Now it's coming down to discipline, accountability, follow through. So how are you going to create that in your life? And there's many ways to do it. Go with a buddy. Tell everybody what you're doing. Actually just follow through on your own. There's lots of different things.
I love our L10 meetings because it's like, oh no, I committed to that. And I'm not going to let I'm not going to let me down in front of my team.
Group accountability is amazing.
Yes. I even have a little whiteboard in my bathroom and it says 1%. And I do write on that one. Marath, you failed.
Thank you. Yes, I have recently. I appreciate that. I
think we should dive more into that. We'll go down this rabbit hole.
She had a great idea. Wait. We got these. Our bathroom has 2 sinks and 2 mirrors, and I got mine. She's got hers, right? And there's a space in between the 2, which is like this, demilitarized zone where she's not allowed to put stuff.
Like a DMZ zone.
So she's North Korea. I'm just saying, but so she's got her hair products and machines. This thing does something to her hair. That one does another. Okay, there's this whole thing going on.
Hey, this is natural.
Mine too. And so then the demilitarized zone in the middle has a few nice ornate things from trips that we've been on. And then there's my area that is absolutely not bad. So it's
of course. Okay.
We put a whiteboard in the middle, one of those little whiteboards, dry erase boards, and it says 1%, and it says Mary and Eric.
Yeah, and then it's basically, what are we going to do today, this week, whatever.
That is non-negotiable. And it is the 1%. So that goes back into the vision. So I sidetracked us. Sorry,
it was a way to get us. Yeah, but I was given the description of the
sidetrack.
But you know,
well,
it's the
but
little
it ties
things.
it.
We both
There
said
you go.
but.
What we're saying, I think we're saying the same thing. It's these little things that help
It's the
connect it
little
all and create
things.
accountability.
Right. So you know what it is. So to your point, I do, whether you call it a vision board, a dream board, and I really am big at that because it allows people space to open their mind. What do you really want? I've had things on my vision board, my dream board, that has showed up years later, but I still put it up there because it just swirls and it gives me these ideas. And then I chunk it down to my word for the year. And I keep asking myself, how am I living this word? And it connects to the vision for my life. And then now I chunk it to what Eric said, make it simple. It's the 1%. What are the non-negotiables? What are the little tiny things that, man, if I said I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out and I don't feel good today, what's a little thing that I can still move my body and still follow through where I'm not sending myself into get more sick? Maybe it's just stretching, right? But it's my 1%. So wherever our vision is, and you look at EOS with our rocks, okay, I can pick up the phone. I can reach out to 2 people today. I said I was going to do this. I know I can move the needle here, but it's it's the consistent actions that will help move the needle. Things get tough. And when we don't have clarity of vision, and then all of a sudden a nice, bright, shiny object comes over and we want to move our attention and focus, when you're clear in the vision, whatever we say yes to, we say no to something else. So if that bright, shiny object, we're like, whoop, then we just said no to our vision.
Yeah.
If that bright, shiny object it's aligning with the vision, then maybe.
I've actually talked about this a couple times with several different people over the past couple weeks, and without sounding too out there, I really think it is indicative of like the instant gratification of, I hear so many more people saying now, like, I'm an all or nothing person. Like if I either get it all now or it's not going to happen and I wait, or I say, not now, but if it's now, then I want it and I'll go after it. But that 1%, or even there's another company that I've heard that they just say 10%. So whether it's 10% or 1%, whatever the percentage is, going at any goal or any vision with that mindset breaks up that cultural, like, instant gratification mindset. And it's like, okay, I can, not that I'm planning on it, but I can fail on Saturday and Sunday. I can have a drink when I said I wasn't going to, or eat chocolate when I said I wasn't going to. And those days are just, they're 0%, and I'm owning up to that. I can do it. But on Monday, the train is still there, and I can still go 1% on Monday again. Because that's always where people fall off the wagon, is because they say, oh, Sunday and Saturday didn't happen. I guess it's done. I'm never going to the gym again. Or it's 2 months later, and it's like, boom, I'm going to the gym every day of the week now. I'm getting it, and then it's 3 days in, and they don't go on the 4th day, and it's like, it's gone again. So I think that's the way to really disrupt the pattern.
I want to talk to that a little bit. So if a few years ago I read Atomic Habits with James Clear, and just a great book if you haven't read it. And it introduces a concept of, because what you are describing is, I believe, how I've done goals most of my life and really struggled with them. So because I get into them, and if I'm like executing, I'm killing it, and then something happens, I get sick or shiny object or whatever goes on, and then I'm like, wait, pull it back, and then I'm like, oh, it's done, and then I'm like, oh, and let it go, just like you described it. And James Clear talks about in his book that so for example, we use getting in shape. It was like, it's how we see ourselves, which is actually the battle. It's not the goal. So we set this goal, and I'm going to hit it every day, and I'm going to do 90 hard or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
And we screw up. It was about the routine. It was about the goal. It was about all these things. Got it. But what he's saying is, so like for working out, what a lot of people see themselves as, for example, would be a person who is out of shape, who is hoping or working towards getting in shape. That's how they see themselves. And what he suggests is, instead, see yourself as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You are an athlete, or you are someone who does this, or whatever it is your goal is. What is the outcome of who
you're a reader, or you are an artist, or whatever.
Right. But you see yourself as the product you want to create there. I am, in my example, I am an athlete is how I'm looking at it. And then what happens is when you're off, if you see yourself as an athlete, you're not off. You weren't off of hitting a goal. You were like, you had a few days where you were sicking out, and you were an athlete who was sicking out, and they took time off. So now you're getting back into it because this is who you are.
Yeah.
So when we see ourselves as the output of the goal, we no longer stop when something goes sideways, and then interruptions don't hit us differently. And I remember reading that book, and I remember somewhere around there, the dude that's like, make your bed was kind of at the same time for me.
Yeah.
And it really worked for me, because what I didn't just get up and go, I'm going to make the bed every morning. If you don't know, make the bed was about just accomplishing something right out of the gate. Yeah. I was like, I'm somebody who finishes and accomplishes things, because I start a million projects and never would finish them. And so I'm like, I'm somebody that goes in and finishes them. So every morning, that was me affirming, seeing myself in that space as being somebody that accomplishes. I still make the bed. It's the craziest thing. I make beds in hotels. I never in my life.
And they're not even your beds. You just find.
He even
open
yelled
doors
at me when
I
I made the bed. He yelled at me. He goes, "No, this is my." I'm like, I was gonna make the bed. He goes,
yelled's a bit much, but yes,
well, he didn't yell. I was like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
No, there's just it's an amazing thing. So like, we're going after these goals and we're setting things, and people want the self-discipline. Self-discipline is about the ability to do things when they're hard and we don't want to, and push through. And we need that. We absolutely need it. But what helps with self-discipline is the perception that we are this person in someone. So when we don't, it gives us the ability, meaning, I don't know. I mean, use me yesterday, sick as a dog. I felt terrible. Supposed to work out. I did not. I didn't get up and go, well, I broke all my routines. I'm out, which is what I would have done. This is a real life thing. And so today, back in it. I haven't worked out yet, but it's coming. It's coming today. But the point being, if we can picture the outcome we want, if we can embody it, if we can step into it, we really have, and that's why specificity in the vision. Who are we? What are we? What does it feel like? You know, you're driving a business. We're going to double our sales this year in the business, and you got a plan. You got all these things you're going to do. Great. What type of leader do you have to be for that to work? Mm-hmm. How do you have to engage with your team to make that happen? How accountable are your meetings, and how motivated and how much ownership are they taking in what's going on? How empowering are you? Like, you're putting yourself in that spot, because if you're not that human, then you're not going to get that outcome. So it just it makes it a lot easier if we can put ourselves in the shoes of what we want to create.
Yeah. Well, and two, in relation to knowing your vision, why it's so important. And when I say it gets hard, usually we see people, they'll quit right on the verge of breakthrough, like right on the verge of breakthrough. And human nature is to go to the path of least resistance. When you know that vision, and no matter where you're at, I love the story 3 feet from gold, it is get back up, one more rep, one more call, that instead of hitting another snooze, get up, put your feet on the floor, the 1%. And you keep doing that. You keep doing that. You keep doing that. Take a before, middle, after picture. When I say I had that burned in my brain, watching this lady or this guy lifting a weight, and then 3 months later and a year later, it's just like, gosh, we don't see that. We want the easy fix. We want the vision. We want to see the results right away. And then when things get sidetracked, when someone gets sick, you lose your best client, get back up, do it again.
That's huge. I really like where we're going with this, because, and even if this is just me, but when we talk about vision building and stuff for a new year, whether it's business or in personal life, it's always this like daunting, we're going to set a vision for the next year. But like, when we break it up into the steps that we've talked about, of like, start with gratitude, then you set your goals, then you dream about what else there is to do, and then you adjust your mindset. It makes it to where there's actually a plan here. Mm-hmm. And when you do all of those, then those steps in and of themselves produce a vision that you can look for. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go build a vision. Like that's like saying I'm going to go build a house. Okay, cool. But what's the first step? Like, and all the other steps in between. So I really hope this has helped people break it down and understand what's really possible, and what vision building really looks like, as you go into, because I mean, when do you, Mary, whenever y'all do the vision board stuff, when do you start that process, or even like looking ahead to the next year? Is it in December, January? When does that normally land for you?
So I already have my word. I start really thinking about my word of the year by the end of November, 1st of December. So this year, my word was transform in 2025. And I'm so freaking proud because it's all of this, what we're talking about, the personal mastery, breaking through self-sabotage. Whoo, you talk about being a student in that and teaching it and living it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, just the little things, the reminders. When I say I'm freaking proud, I'm like, I freaking lived my word. This next year, it is consistency, because I know that to continue whatever path I want, I have to be consistent. So now my brain and my thoughts, I'm already thinking, well, what does consistency look like? What am I committed to? What does it look like for our business? What does it look like for my health? What does it look like for my family? And I start in my mind, I'm already planning. Then by the end of the year, so usually it is December 31st, January 1st, I am now have my vision board, my dream board out, and it already has the theme. And then I put it up on my wall, and now I work it. So every month I'm picking, this is what I'm going after, but it's my 1% because I already have it out there.
And for those that may be different, I will know my word probably somewhere in January. Yep. And sometimes it comes earlier. I don't know, but my brain just doesn't work as organized as hers does. And so when it hits me, it'll hit me. It's a good one. But just letting you know, if you're not as organized or systematized or make it all work as Mary does, it's okay. Just have people like her in your life. That's all I suggest. But, hey, I want to hit that last thing. I know we're closing this out, but Mary talked about it earlier, and I really heard it as you guys were just talking, is that I feel like there's some people out there that really struggle with even getting their head wrapped around where they want to go, what they want to do. They're kind of in that space. And Mary said it earlier, is that there's, and this is part of looking backwards in the gratitude and dreaming and all those, but hope. Yeah. So when people are in a space of fear and they're like, it's been a rough year, or they've a rough life, and they're like, I want this year to be different, but they're all focused on, they've got so much fear in them. They're like, I want a dream, but I'll never get it. Like, that's their self-talk, because that's what they've taught themselves. That's the place to start with this, is you've got to get yourself into a space of, it doesn't have to be excitement, but it does have to be a space of positivity around what is possible. And that's hope. You got to truly believe it can get better and I can influence it, because when we sit around and we're just scared, and we're living in fear, all we do is we have tons of anxiety. And I see it so much, especially you go younger generation. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of, well, what if I mess this up? And what if I do that? And it's funny. I really see it. And there's all these joke memes out there about the generational gaps and all that. But I'm Gen X to my core. I'm just like, screw it. I mean, we burn the house down. We'll figure it out. That's kind of where you live at. You go fall into it and figure it out and get excited about the figuring it out and that you're equipped enough to handle it, versus the fear that I'm not going to handle it. And there's going to be retribution. And there's all these negative things where people can go, because there's no vision in that. You're in fight, flight, or freeze. And
I want to add to what you're saying, because there are people literally have no hope right now. And they might be listening. It's like, well, that's nice. I'm not in a positive space right now. So this is where I say, pick one thing that you can control. whether it is looking at motivational podcasts in the morning, whatever you do to ground you, taking a walk, doing a moment of gratitude outside, just go, man, I have breath in my lungs. I do have people who love me. I have a roof over my head. Whatever you can do to get in a moment to just center you, because once you figure out what one thing that you can do that you can control, and our mindset is it's the catalyst of everything. So if you start small, start there, something, and then you start to move from there. When you get success in one little area, then you can get success in another little area. But it's baby steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, making the choice to hope is really powerful. Yeah. And it could be the start of new things. So,
yeah. Well, and then the other side, the people that have 8 million dreams and you're all over the place, get your ass focused. That's what you need. Trim it down.
Honestly, do the same thing. Pick one.
Pick one. Right. I was telling someone I was doing a coaching call the other day, and I said, whatever you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. And so you have this vision and you keep going squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. So guess what? The thing that you just said yes to, the big vision that you wrote down, is now a no. So whenever you feel that, set a timer. I notice that I'm thinking I want to go over here. Do one thing to work on that vision, breathe, and then come back. Is it still a good idea?
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the power of rocks in EOS, like how many times I've had to do that just in the like, oh, that's a really good idea. I want to do that.
Yep.
It's a rock for next quarter. It's a rock for next quarter. But it has allowed me to finish things, which, is always the trap of life.
Which connects with his shirt, because we got merch starting to happen.
That's right. That has been, you talk about a dream and a vision. Connor's bringing that sucker to life.
It's coming for you.
All will be known in due time.
It's my favorite. It's literally since I went through class the first time 2 years ago. I was like, man, I want that as either a bumper sticker or a T-shirt.
Forehead tattoo. That's what you need. Yeah, forehead tattoo.
Oh man. Well, thanks everybody thanks for tuning in, as they don't ever say for podcasts. But hopefully this brought some clarity for you. If you're interested, we do have the webinar coming up in a couple weeks. We don't have a solid date, but it'll at least be the week of the 22nd. So keep an eye on our socials and all those things. We'll put that out here pretty soon.
December 22nd.
But other than that, Eric and Mary? Oh,
I said December 20th. I don't know when they're watching this. They might be seeing this in March and it's already passed. So that's what I was saying.
Well, if you don't know when you're watching it, look at the date. Open up your phone. And look at the date.
We have a lot of love in this company.
Thank you.
Editing.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. And we'll see you in the next episode.
It's fun.
Bye.
Bye.